Hi everyone. So in this video, I would like to talk about some of the Python basic before we start into the data analysis part. And in the last video, we installed the Conda, and if you don't have the Jupyter notebook installed, you can just run this command Conda install Jupyter in the command prompt, and you will be able to access Jupyter notebook after that. So before we start, just a brief intro about the Python. So Python is the programming language, and it's an interpreter language. Means in the interpretation, every instructions get interpreted one by one. So it's not like a compile-based language like a C, C++, or Java, where first the your code is get generated into the compiled base code and then to the binary. Next, let's do the ritual of writing the print hello world, right? So print is a statement where if you provide anything, it will just print out. And now let's talk about the variables. So variables are the character where you assign the values. Like in this case, I'm saying a equals to 5 means I'm binding the value 5 to a, right? If I type a, that gives the output 5. So this is the input field where I'm entering the command. I have already written this command and I'm just running with shift plus enter. And this IN represent the input, output represent or UT represent the output. So this is the Jupyter notebook. If you have not seen, you can create your new file. And also there are few commands. I will in between I will tell you which are most useful commands in this. So again, to install the any library in the Python, here you can write pip install and there in your library. In this case, I'm just installing the NumPy, which I've already did, right? And to import, you can just write import your library as is the just to give alias np. Np is the very standard form which everybody use for NumPy. What I'm doing here is I'm just creating getting the random values from standard normal distribution, 7 values, and I'm just iterating those and putting into data variable, right? If I just run this, I should get the 7 values. So these are the 7 values from standard normal distribution, and it is storing into the list. So they've again just to give you a few features of the Jupyter notebook. So there are tab completion and intersection. What is a tab completion means? So in this case, suppose I have already created a data, it is in the memory. So if I just write DA and put a tab, so it will autocomplete. So that's is mean by tab completion. Okay. And next is the introspection. So introspection is nothing but so if you want to get more detail, right? What is this data? You put a question mark and type of data. So it will give a detail. What is this a type of list, right? As I told, it's a list of 7 character length, and it's a built-in mutable sequence, right? You can change mutable means you can change it, update it, and if no argument is, so just a detail about what is the list all about, right? And I have also had the A in the memory, so let's put that. So A is the int type. It's a string form of 5. It's a doc string. What is the int x you put in, it will convert it to integer, right? Now why this is important. So let's say you have created this function. So we'll talk about function detail in the next coming videos. So def add number is the function where it is taking 2 arguments, and we have provided a doc stream add 2 number together, and it's returning the sum of type, right? Let me run this. And now let's see what what would happen if I just want to know more detail about this add number, right? As you can see in the doc stream, whatever I have written here is coming here, right? Add 2 number together and it's return the sum type of arguments. Now also you can, it will help as the while string character. So while string character is nothing but, let's say I want to see in the NP library what are the functions which have attributes or method which has load in it. So this it will search LOAD in the NP library. So as you can see, there are underscore loader, load txt are the three type of attribute or function methods are available in this library. Now let's move to the next, the language basic. So Python uses the indentation, not braces. So in the programming language like C, C++, or Java, so it is there is a curly braces where you wrap around your code. In the Python, it's indentation. Semicolon is not used to end the statement. So in the languages like C, C++, you put a semicolon that represent the end of a statement. In the Python, it's not. Everything is object in the Python. So whether you create a variable, the function, class, everything is object. And we'll talk about more this. To put a comment like this, we use hash symbol. So this will not be interpreted by the Python interpreter while execution. Variable and argument passing. So again, I have a example, and dynamic for again for dynamic reference and strong type. There is example. So let's see what is the mean of the indentation. So I have written this a for loop, and after a colon, so you can see there's a space, right? Space. So it's a mostly a four characters, and this is what the indentation. So whatever the block, it's the colon represent the start of the indentation. Okay. So if I just run this, it will show 1 to 7, 1 to 6, 0 to 6, the integers, and just printing those. Now semicolon is not used, but you can use the semicolon to, uh, instead of moving to the next line, you can put a semicolon and start the uh, next variable if you want to assign some values, but it is not encouraged in Python. So here the value of A is 5, value of B equals to 4. What is mean by the variable and the argument passing? So let's say if we have a list A, it has three values 1, 2, 3, and we are going to print A. Now what we are doing, we are assigning A to B, and we are also going to print B. So what this means here, the B, there is what B is doing, B is referring to the same list which is passed to A. So this is not creating a copy of a new list. Okay, and we'll append 4 in this list, and the output should give the same values 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 at the end. So let's run this. So as you can see, the first we have assigned, we have printed A. Next we have assigned A to B, we printed B. We appended value 4 in A, not in B, so it appended here. And as you can see, the A got updated and also the B got updated because it is referring to the same list which is available, which is assigned to A. So it's a strong type. So if you want to see, we are assigning 8 to 5 to A, and we want to see what is the type of it, right? It's a integer type. This is string type. And what happens here? So we are in doing the summation of 5, that is in string format, plus 5. So in some programming language, it can convert into 5 plus 5 10, or 5 plus 5 is a string 55. But in the Python, it's going to throw you an error. It says you cannot concatenate string to str. Next is the A equals to 4.5 and B. So in this case, as you can see, the output is converted into float, right? You can check whether which object is belong to which instance, right? So in this case, whether A is int, it will be false because A is what? Float. A is float, it should true. Now, so what we are doing here, we are creating a string called S, right? Let me run this. It's a string. Now, if you want to see, it's a type of string, right? So let me do str, right? So string has own attributes and method, and we can access those with the dot notation. So if I just put s dot and tab, You see there are a lot of functions which are available you can use. So this is called the attributes and the method belonging to that particular object. Next is to check whether the object is iterable or not. So what is mean by? So there are many objects which are iterable. Means if we create a list, it is iterable. You can access each element, right? You can access the if a string, you can access it. So let's run this function, and I'm using the object. If it is iter is the built-in function which is going to give return true if it is iterable. So a string is iterable, yes. List is iterable, yes. For is iterable, no, right? Because you cannot iterate or the int single element. What is the import does? So import just import the Python code which is written in the some other file, right? Even in the case of the library, so library is nothing is the collection of your Python code, right? Written by somebody else and you are just using it. Like in the case of NumPy, we have imported NumPy and the objects. So in this case, in the sum module, I have one variable pi, its value, and two functions. Which one is adding the multiplying it by 2 and second function is doing the summation. So what I'm doing just in importing this sum module as sm is the alias. So alias is as what I'm doing is I'm just importing it. What is the pi value? So 3.14. So this f function is going to multiply by 2, right? This is going to do summation multiply by 2. There are arithmetic operation you can perform using Python. I will not go, this is very basic, plus minus divide modulus, everything is works as like other programming language, like 5 minus 4 is minus 4. Though I would like to focus more on this mutable and immutable object. So mutable is object means you can you can update it, right? Like list you can update, right? With string, no, you cannot update because string is immutable in Python, right? So let me give examples. I have created a list, right? It has one string, one int value, and inside one more list. So let's run this. So this is what the list about, and I want to update the sec sec. So it will start with 0, 1, 2. I want to update this list with tuple, right? Let's do that. I'm able to do that? Yes. Next is the string. So we have created a string and I want to change the third, means starting with fourth. I want to change it to, let me write F, something like that. Am I able to do that? No, because string object does not support items assignment. It's a immutable object in Python. What about tuple? So let's create a tuple, right? And I want to change 0, 1 to 4 dot to 3. Can I do that? No. Again, the same tuple object does not support item assignment. So what I'm doing here is let's move to the object type available in Python. So first let's see the numeric. So it's a numeric. I'm raising it power to 9 and as you can see it's a very big number it can handle, right? So 3 divided by 2 should be 1.5. And uh, if you want to do the floor division, right, you can use the double forward slashes. So what is happening? So it is discarding after decimal values. String we have seen is to create a string 1, string 2. You can do that. You can even concatenate with plus, right? If I just write s plus s2, it is just concatenating those. If you want to create a multi-line string, you can use the three quotation marks, right? One, two, three. And interesting thing here is there are three separate lines. So one, two, three, right? So if you want to see what are the how many new lines are there? So it's three here. Next, as I told, string is immutable. You cannot change the string once you create it. So just to give an example, we have created a variable assigned this string to it. and we are going to print it. Next, we are going to create a new assign a value by replacing a with longer and assigning to b. So let's see if all strings are same. So even after replacing a here in the a string, right, it still remains the same. So it's immutable. You cannot update it. Next is to convert numbers to string. You can do that using str function, right? This function. So we are assigning a int here, and we are converting those to string using str function. So string is also iterable, as I told. If you want to access string elements, right? In this case, I want to see the second. So 0, 1, 2, 3. This is what we are getting. We can convert into a list, right? Next is the escape character. So the backslash, let's say we have a backslash 1, 2, 3, and you want to retain this one, right? It is 1, 2, 3 divided by 3 or backslash 3, 4. You can use the one additional backslash which is known as escape character. So one will retain and one will escape. So like this. Let's say you have a file path, right? In this case, if we run like this, so you see what is happening here. It is slash and is taking as the new line character, and that's why it is coming to the new line. But I want to retain this as whole. So what is the method you can use? You can use the R, which is known as raw, and it will tell Python to interpret as this a complete string, right? Don't consider this as a special character. So you got the same output. Next is string format, very important. So the I'm just assigning this values to template. So what is this mean? So this means the take the first argument in the format. Format is the inbuilt function. Convert into the float. Take the second means 1, convert into string, and second to the decimal. So if I do template or format, put this value, so it will goes here, it will go here, and it will go here. Let's see the output. See, this is converted to float with two decimals. This is to string, and this is to the one value. Now in the new version of the Python, you can there is something called f string. So you put a f in front of it and put a bracket where you want to change the value. Like in this case, amount value will come here, currency will come here like this. Boolean is true false, so true will give you true or false give you true, right? Int, and when converted false to integer it will give 0, and converted true to integer give you 1. None is a special type of value in Python which represent the null value, so you can also assign that to a, right, and check whether a is none, it will true. B is equals to b is none, false. And it can also use as the default value. So in this case, what we are doing, add or multiply, means add this number, and if this is value for C, then multiply that result. So let me run this function. First I'm giving 2, so 2 plus 2 it should give me 5. And in this case, in the next case, I'm assigning this value. So what should give 5, 3 plus 4, 7, multiply by 2, 14. Date and time, very important and heavily used in the data analysis and time series. So date and time, we are using the date time library, importing the date and time. And here what I'm doing, I'm just assigning a value to dt of date time, giving 2013, year, month, day, hours, minute, second, right? And if you want to see what is the day here, so day is what? 3, right? What is the date in this? The date is this part, time is this part, right? Let me run. Date is 3, time is 3. There's a two methods very important to convert the date into string. So strf to time, right? So let me convert this into string. As you can see, the time in this format uh, convert into string, and you can do the reverse. You can convert this string into the date. In this format, for that function, you need to use strp time. So you see the difference is strf time. and there is a strp time, right? So also let's create a new uh, date, and what we can do, you can divide, sorry, you can add and mm, uh, do the subsection of from the date. So D2 is the 2013, and we want to see what the difference between the D2 and the DT2 and DT, and putting into the delta variable. So there is a difference of this many days and this many seconds. And if you assign to a addition of D2 plus delta, so you should get a value of D2, right? You get the same value of this. Control flows. So this is what we have very similar to in like in the other programming language, the for loop, right? If and the while. So let's talk about the if else, if elif and else. So if is the condition where you put down condition. If it is true, then the next block of code is executed. So in this case, if x is less than 0 is a negative, it is greater than equals to 0, it is 0. If it is less than 0, if it is greater than 0 and less than 5, it is positive, plus less than 5, else it is 5. So in this case, if we are putting value here x equals to 9, so this block code if executed. So let's put -2, let's say negative, and let's put 0, let's say 0. So for loop is nothing but the syntax here is you have a for loop for keyword, the value which will one by one it will come from this part, from this collection, and we have a next block of code to be executed after that. So here what we have is a sequence. So it's a list 1 2 3 none 2 3. So here what we are doing, we are just printing this, right? We are taking value one by one and printing it, right? Now we want to put more condition. Let's combine the if part here also. If value is none, then continue. Continue means it will skip that part, skip that value and move to the next value. So in this case, we are doing the total. So if you do the total without if condition, so it will go through another. But in this case, you will get value 12, right? So if you don't use if you want to try to do a total, it is going to throw an error because you are adding the none type. None type is nothing but a null. Break is nothing but it will break when the condition is met. Break means it will get out of a loop. So in this case, what we are doing, we are printing value I starting from 0 to 3, right? And z from 0 to 3 and printing it. So 0, 1, 2, 3, right? So 1, 2, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3. So let's start here. Now you want to restrict it. So if z is greater than to 1, means this value is greater than 1, then it should skip, right? So let's see. So you see after it is becoming greater than 1, it skips and move to the next values. While is nothing but it has a condition and then the next block. So until this condition is true, it's going to keep executing the code, right? So in this case, the condition x is if x is greater than 0, right? Then print x. If total is greater than 0, break, means get out of this loop. Also, just want to have highlight the range. So range is nothing; it generates a sequence of evenly spaced integers. Means if I just write 10, so it will generate from 0 to 10, right? You see, it's generates 0 to 12. 12 being excluded means it start with 0 and 12 characters. And you can convert this into list. So what is happening here? So this is a start, this is the end, this is a step. Step means it will move, skip four lines. So 0, 4, 8, 12. If you put a 3, then it will skip 3, right? Let me change that, show you like this. Now just to add this, let's add the number 0 to 19, 0 to 999 and multiply with the multiples of, if it is a multiple of 3 and 5, then only add it. So it will go 0, it will take one value, check whether it is divided by 3 instead of multiple of 3 or multiple of 5, then add it, right? That's how you get the final number. So this is a very basic of Python. We'll continue the basic in the next video too before we move into the more data analysis part of it. Thank you guys.